Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of four-time champion sire Schnitzel.
Hello, I'm Caroline Searcy. Welcome to a special episode of Bred to Win as we bring you the breeding background to the big winners on Golden Rose and Underwood Stakes Day, plus a two-part feature on the great So You Think, runner-up the past 2 years in the Champion Australian Sire title, and we find out why Coolmore Stud believes he will become Champion Stallion in the next few years. And Leah Beth Anderton, Thoroughbreds Are Go's sponsored rider for Equimillion in Arrowfield Stud's Horse Who Made You Love Racing. First though, a breed influencing weekend of racing and more in our Aushorse News. One of the Hunter Valley's most successful thoroughbred breeding operations, Kitchwin Hills, has a new stud manager, with Verna Metcalf taking over from Mick Malone. Formerly with Middlebrook Valley Lodge, the new management creates a partnership between Kitchwin Hills and Alma Vale Thoroughbreds, with Verna one of the Hunter Valley's most respected horsewomen and recipient of several awards for service to the industry. An early front runner on times after the first groups of breeze-ups for the 2023 Inglis Ready to Race sale was this colt at the Seymour Gallops for Nolan Racing. By Arrowfield's Showtime, the colt is from the Doomsday mare Damsel, from the family of Anthems, Yell, Microphone and Holler.
End-cap hits a narrow lead at the 150.
To a sensational Saturday of racing, and we start with the Group 1 Golden Rose at Rose Hill in Sydney and the win of dual Group 1 winning 2-year-old Militarise for a huge group of owners, including Newgate Farm, China Horse Club and Trilogy Racing. Chris Waller and Joe Moreira combined for the win by the son of Debawi mare Amarindia, who was bred by Jonathan Munns and sold by Beamer Thoroughbreds at last year's Magic Millions yearling sale for $550,000. The sire of Militarise is Arrowfield Stud's champion racehorse and now outstanding stallion Done Deal, who stands this season at a fee of $82,500. The Group 2 Golden Pendant went to Star Thoroughbreds mare Espiona. The Coolmore Classic winner was bred by Torryburn Stud and Frank Cook and is by Newgate Farm's Extreme Choice from the Great Waikato Stud, Glamourpuss, Vision and Power family.
Osmosis, lifting, kicking.
An up-and-coming unbeaten sprint star featured as another Magic Millions graduate as Osmosis took out the listed Heritage Stakes. Racing in the Derby Racing colours for Bjorn Baker, the colt shares ownership with Newgate Farm, Go Bloodstock and China Horse Club, who bred the son of No More Tears, a descendant of star filly Hips Don't Lie. Whitten Stud, son of Northern Meteor Zoo Star, stands this season at a fee of $220,000. And European sire See the Stars had a group double between Sydney and Melbourne, with Cepheus successful in the Group 2 Shannon Stakes at Rose Hill and Uncle Bryn winning the Group 3 MRC Foundation Cup at Caulfield.
But it's Alligator Blood clear, looking to go back to back.
The Caulfield feature of the day was a thrilling Group 1 Underwood Stakes, with the Jerry Harvey-owned Alligator Blood and his co-trainer Gay Waterhouse providing a great spectacle for racegoers. A stunning son of All Too Hard, he was a $55,000 Magic Millions yearling sold by Barramel Stud. He's from the Encosta de Lago mare Lake Superior. His second dam, Kylie Kwong, was a dual Oaks place getter from the family of Horse of the Year, Typhoon Tracy. All Too Hard, the four-time Group 1 winning half-brother to Black Caviar, stands at Vinery Stud at a fee of $38,500. And the Group 3 Caulfield Guineas Prelude went to Step Artie, a son of Stockwell Thoroughbreds Artie Schiller, now unbeaten 5 from 5. The Paul Pruska trained 3-year-old is from the Sepoy mare Watch Your Step, from the family of Tycoon and Purple Grove.
Absolute thriller.
G1 Goldmine this week is promoting their 2023 Broodmare Report, as there's no better time to be helping breeders with their mid-season stallion matchups. The Broodmare Report runs an analysis with up to 250 stallions and your mare based on a location and fee range set by you. It only takes 24 hours to receive, and Bred To Win viewers can take advantage of a special offer from G1 Goldmine. You can get 30% discount on your Broodmare Report by using the promo code Bred To Win 23, with thanks to Matthew Ennis and the team at G1 Goldmine.
Yellow brick in front, but all that pizzazz looming ominously.
The English Graduate of the Week was All That Pizzazz, taking out the weekend's Queensland feature Toowoomba's Wheatwood Handicap in a great result for Tony Gollan. The son of Eureka stud Spirit of Boom is from Encosta de Largo mare Pizzazz and was sold by Glastonbury Farms for $70,000 as an English Classic yearling. Spirit of Boom stands at Queensland's Eureka stud at a fee of $38,500 this season. So You Think is undoubtedly one of Australia's most popular racehorses, and now the 10-time Group 1 winner is excelling at stud in the same way he dominated on the racetrack. Having been runner-up champion Australian sire for the past 2 years, we thought he deserved a look back at what he's achieved and, importantly, what is yet to come in this special two-part feature.
Think it over, down the stands rail, lunges, gets up.
He just dominated. So You Think, ridden by Stephen Ardle.
But in front, think about him, and think about has won the straight break.
But it's So You Think driven out towards the line and will take his prize money through the £5 million barrier.
But I think you need to say that So You Think is a champion.
Tom, it's always a delight to come and catch up with the great So You Think here at Coolmore Stud. He is one of the most popular, if not the most popular stallion in Australasia. He has an enormous following and he's just the archetypal cult figure as a stallion, isn't he?
Yeah, well, there's no doubt that he's the most popular stallion, certainly at Coolmore, not only with breeders but with the general public. And it was due to his racing style and what he was able to achieve on the track, not only here but also in Europe, that comes about, and also just the way he looks and the way he behaves. He's got a great temperament and a great way of going. He's just every stud master's dream.
If you head back to the beginning, he was actually quite an unassuming yearling, picked out by a great judge who'd brought many Group 1 winners, but you know, placed in Bart's care for a great lucky owner, Dato Tan Shinam. And you know, he was given an extraordinary opportunity from the outset, but his talent was there to see from the start too.
Yeah, Duncan obviously found him at Karaka in New Zealand, and while he might not have been an obvious horse to everyone, he was a November 10th foal. Maybe people dismissed him because of that, but he obviously had that frame, he had that wonderful action, he had the quality that he still has today, and he's still got that great demeanour, and he's still got such a presence about him, and I'm sure he had that when he was a yearling as well.
The first starter, So You Think's about to join in on the outside.
As he said, he was out early. He must have shown a lot from a very early stage, despite being a late foal. Won as a 2-year-old at his only start on debut at Rose Hill. So from there it was onwards and upwards, but he surely showed a huge amount of talent from very early on.
And of course the son of, you know, Coolmore's own High Chaparral, and I guess no one knew at that time what a huge influence he would be. He's had horses, you know, Group 1 winners, Shootout, Done Deal, Ace High, Monaco Consul and Tavachi, so many sire sons, but this is the best of them.
Well, we think he's the best of them. High Chaparral is definitely a very good sire of sires through Done Deal and So You Think and Tornado and so on. Obviously he's served the first few books of mares in New Zealand at Windsor Park Stud, and they did a great job with him, and he couldn't have started any better. High Chaparral obviously himself was an incredible racehorse, one of the greatest racehorses to travel to New Zealand and stand there, no doubt. So he was obviously a horse that Coolmore would have followed with interest at the time. So You Think would have been on their radar from a very early age, having shown so much promise as a 2-year-old and early in his 3-year-old season. Going back to the start of the Coolmore days in the 70s, this is what John Magner has built Coolmore on, and the foundations which Coolmore are built on are identify stallions that can go on and become sire of size. So obviously Sadler's Wells was one of them, and as a son of Northern Dancer before him, High Chaparral came about, and now we have So You Think. So it goes back a long way from a Coolmore perspective, all the way back to Northern Dancer.
So You Think is going to go all the way. He's racing clear, and So You Think has bolted in the Cox Plate. That's probably the greatest training triumph that Bart Cummings has produced in his entire career.
We've had some good ones. It's hard to compare them. They've all been good mates of mine and helped me a great deal. But this up's one of the best.
Well, of course, the Cox Plate as a 3-year-old for So You Think was the standout. I mean, without doubt, the Weight for Age Championship of Australasia, and you know, and he only just scraped into the field. But what an incredible result that was.
Yeah, well, the Connections must have known they have something very special. He won the Gloaming Stakes, and traditionally the Gloaming Stakes winner would go on to a Spring Champion Stakes, but they obviously knew that he was better than that, and they took him to the Guineas where he ran a good race and snuck into the Cox Plate. At his 5th start, was able to lead all the way in the Cox Plate and win with huge amount of distinction. Like he was unbeatable that day. No horse in the world would have beaten him that day. And he went on from there to become one of the greatest racehorses of the modern era.
So You Think who begot you. So You Think responding for Steve Arnold. So You Think is back.
And then the spring of 2010, I mean, you know, 13 years ago, the Memsie into the Underwood, the Yalumba, the second Cox Plate victory. I mean, this is just so rare in modern racing to dominate the spring in that way.
Yeah, you have to go back and look at it again to remember how great a racehorse he was, and to start off his campaign that year in the Memsie Stakes over 1,400 metres. It was Group 2 at that stage, but it's now Group 1. And then to go on and win 5 in succession, 4 Group 1s, was incredible. It's something that only very special racehorses can do.
But it is all So You Think. Look at him go. This is poetry in racing. A champion racehorse in full flight. It's worth going a long way to see that at the racetrack. So You Think.
Obviously he won his 2nd Cox Plate in that run of wins. The Yalumba, the Underwood, a very special racehorse, and he just continued to get better as he got older.
But So You Think wins his 2nd. So You Think first. At his 10th start he wins his 2nd Cox Plate. Bart's done it again. Stephen Arnold did everything right.
He then won the McKinnon Stakes as well, and then that incredible 3rd in Americane's Melbourne Cup. I mean, on a bog track, the Melbourne Cup over 2 miles, it wasn't what he was designed to do, but it was what he could do because of his incredible talent.
Yeah, only a very special racehorse can win a Memsie Stakes at the start of his campaign, go on and win 4 Group 1s in that campaign, then jump from 2,000 metres to 2 miles and run extremely competitively in a Melbourne Cup with plenty of weight on his back against a top-class field of stayers as the Melbourne Cup assembles every year. So that once again highlighted just what a great racehorse he was and how tough he was, and he throws that into his progeny.
The work that So You Think did this morning, describe what you thought of it.
No, pleasure, Caroline. It was 7 furlong, kind of his last piece of work before he runs in Ascot. It was a straightforward piece of work, really, just a nice breeze and just let him lengthen the last furlong. So we were very happy with him.
So You Think a world star won the Prince of Wales's.
That's been a big moment for Australian racing. And right on cue, the trumpet's coming to play behind, is about to walk into the yard. This big, magnificent, beautiful beast that is So You Think.
And then overseas, there was no better place for this horse to be as a future stallion than Coolmore Stud. And I was so lucky to be able to film him in Aidan O'Brien's four-wheel drive at Ballydoyle with Tom Magnier. It's still one of the most magnificent pieces of vision that you will absolutely see ever. An outstanding thing for this New Zealand-bred Australian champion to be striding across the historic tracks of Ballydoyle. It was wonderful.
Yeah, he was a generational horse here in Australia, the best horse of his generation, not only from that crop but in that decade. And obviously he went to Europe with a huge amount of expectation on his shoulders. He obviously impressed them in what he was doing at the home. And you look through his record in Europe, he only had 11 starts and 5 of them were Group 1 wins, 6 wins in some of the biggest races in Europe at some of the best tracks in Europe. So yeah, he went up to Europe and went into that system there and really thrived.
I mean, he won, you know, the Prince of Wales Stakes at Royal Ascot. He really proved himself as one of the great Coolmore champions and for great co-owners in the horse too.
Yeah, we ran in Derek Smith's colours, those famous colours, the purple with the white seams, in the ownership of Derek Smith and Michael Tabor and John Magner and other partners as well who were involved in him beforehand. And he performed with distinction. It's very rare to get a horse that wins 10 Group 1s anywhere, but let alone 5 in one hemisphere and 5 in another. And as he said, he won the Prince of Wales Stakes at Royal Ascot. He won 2 Gold Cups at the Curragh. He won the Eclipse at Sandown. He won the Champion Stakes at Leopardstown as well. So some top-class races at some of the best tracks in Europe. He also raced with distinction in Dubai and France and America. So yeah, he was an incredible racehorse.
What a great racehorse he was, and it's great to recap the deeds of champions such as So You Think. Coming up after the break, what's ahead for this super sire and the Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week.
Athabascan's winding up, and Alavia gets the run down the inside.
We couldn't go past the latest stakes success for talented son of Al Mansour, Athabascan, as our Cambridge Stud Performance of the Week. Winner of the Group 3 Colin Stephen Quality at Rosehill Gardens for John O'Shea and OTI Racing, the up-and-coming stayer is heading on a Melbourne Cup path. He's from the Dancili mare Al Zubra, who's also produced Tancred Stakes winner Arapaho. His sire Al Mansour has 10 stakes winners early in his career and stands at Cambridge Stud at a fee of $50,000 NZ plus GST. In part one of our special two-part feature on the great So You Think, we've covered off how he excelled on the racetrack, but what's ahead as far as his stud career is concerned? As Coolmore's Tom Moore explains, the best may be yet to come. Tony, you've spent a lot of time with So You Think, of course, as the stallion manager in Ireland at Coolmore Stud and now here in Australia. He's quite a unique character, isn't he?
He's a very unique character with the kindest heart of any horse you'll meet. He's just happy to do whatever you need him to do. The ultimate professional, really.
Now, tell us what it's like to handle a horse like this. So many people love this horse. Do you sort of realise how great he is when you're working with him? I mean, it's obviously a job, but it is something special, isn't it?
He is very special, especially when you realise what he's like when people come to see him, that he's everybody's hero and they can't believe their luck when they get to see him, so that refreshes your mind about how lucky you are to be with him every day. He's such a gentle horse to deal with.
What's his personality? I mean, obviously, you know, he's very, very smart, but you also worked with his sire, High Chaparral, for a long time as well, and Saddle as well. So it's quite a fascinating, you know, sire line, you know, world's best, really.
And they all have the same little traits between the three of them. They're very smart, wouldn't miss anything, any little change they will notice. All three of them are the same, and especially So You Think, he's hugely intelligent horse. Everything is the same, he's fine. Second something changes, he has to figure out why first.
And when he's out in the paddock too, he's pretty chilled nowadays.
Very relaxed out in the paddock. First thing he usually does in the morning is go. The second you let him go, he has to have a roll. He has to be the dirtiest horse here in the morning on the way in. It's like he has a competition with the rest of them. But that's obviously, he's happy when he does that.
So You Think really is one of Coolmore Stud's great breed shapers, you know, along with obviously his sire, High Chaparral. But to be a two-time runner-up, pushing I Am Invincible in the Australian General Sires title 2 years in a row, I mean, he really is one of the greats of the modern era, isn't he, as a stallion?
Oh, there's no doubt he's one of the best stallions in Australia. For his progeny to pick up $38 million in progeny earnings over the last 2 seasons is an incredible achievement, a very rare achievement, only bettered by I'm Invincible in that time. Yeah, he's a great stallion, and his service fee's gone up in recent years as a result. He's covered a lot of mares in recent years as a result, and his yearlings continue to sell better and better every year.
And I guess for mare owners, you know you're going to get a winner pretty much. I mean, I see, the So You Think, list of horses every day of the week. There are so many of them and they win. And he's so fertile too. I mean, he's been a great stallion, later in the season, in September, if a mare doesn't get in foal to another stallion or, someone makes a later decision. He's been a great backstop here for Coolmore Stud to be able to serve huge numbers.
He's such a great stallion. Not only does he get those Group 1 winners at a better rate than the vast majority of stallions, but as you say, he gets winners every day. But he gets winners every Saturday in Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, and we saw that again last Saturday. Yeah, he's just so consistent, he's so versatile. He's a perfect stallion for a young mare to go to kickstart her career as a broodmare. As you say, he's so fertile, he's got such a great nature. They're all elements of why he's become such an important stallion.
But in front, think about him, and think about has won the straight right.
Sprinters, he's had horses, such as Peltzer, more of a speedy kind of a horse. He's had D'Argento, Rosehill Guineas winner, who's at stud now as well. And think about it. I mean, what a magnificent horse he is, and one of the main contenders for this year's Tab Everest.
Well, if Think About It was to go and win the Everest, which is a very good possibility, then you would have to say So You Think will put himself in the running to become champion sire. We're very confident that he will become a champion sire. He's capable of getting top-class sprinters. He's had Group 1 winners from 1,300 metres to 3,200 metres. Even this year he had Palaisapan win a Group 1 over 1,400 metres. Think About It won a Group 1 over 1,300 metres. Nimalee was a top-class miler herself. He's a very rare stallion. He's a stallion that is becoming even more important to the Australian industry now that we have races such as the Golden Eagle, the 5 Diamonds, the Big Dance, the All-Star Mile, these big money races for older horses over a mile and further. He's really coming into his own more and more as the years go on.
And Fireburn charges home and gives Gary Portelli his second golden slipper.
And as a broodmare sire, I mean, you only have to look at Mullover, who's the dam of the Golden Slipper winner Fireburn by So You Think, Mullover, and Fireburn's half-brother Kintyre, who's been close up in the up-and-coming in the Ming dynasty. I mean, that's the next step, isn't it, as a broodmare sire?
Well, it just shows that he's such a great influence. He's able to impart that into his broodmares and produce Golden Slipper winners. That adds to his versatility in that he's able to produce a Golden Slipper winner as a broodmare sire, but she also trained on to win group races over 2,000 metres and further, and that's that great influence that he has in versatility. He's going to continue on and become a better and better broodmare sire as the years go by, especially now that he's covering some of the elite mares in the Australian stud book. Naturally, as his fee increases from 35,000 to 70,000 to 85,000, he's going to cover better mares. You look through some of the mares falling down this season to So You Think, mares like Lights of Heaven, a Group 1 winning Zabeel mare, Amelia's Dream, an incredibly fast 2-year-old by Redute's Choice, Formality, Crystal Bound, Personal. These are the type of mares that are going to him. Even in the recent Strawberry Hill dispersal sale, there was a colt out of More Joyous that was sold. So these are the type of mares that we're going to see progeny of by So You Think in the coming years. And this is part of the reason why we think he'll become a champion sire.
How many sort of requests or people that come to see the stud want to see So You Think?
The general racing public, if they come to the farm, the only horse that they really want to see is So You Think. Obviously, we've got an incredible roster of stallions with So You Think, and in there with him are Wooden Bassett and Justify and Home Affairs and Fastnet Rock and Piero and so on. But the one that they really want to see is So You Think. And it's easy to see why when you look at him. He's such a beautiful horse, and he throws that into his progeny with that forelock and that great demeanour.
And Dado Tanchinam's family, they've stayed solid breeding to him. I mean, Good Idea winning an Adelaide Cup. Some lovely horses coming through. Perfect Thought, a Carbine Club Stakes winner on Victoria Derby Day. So dazzling. The family of his great owner, they're so invested in being involved with his yearlings too, which is really great to see a lot of those horses with that forelock running around in the Dado Tanchinam colours still.
Yeah, they've had a huge amount of success with So You Think. It's a testament to them to get behind their own stallion and support him all the way through. With obviously in the early days they supported him with some of their best mares, but now they're still supporting him in the sales ring, identifying what they believe to be some of the best So You Think yearlings at the sales throughout the year and targeting them and putting them into training with top trainers, and they deserve all the luck that they've had and then they'll continue to have.
The Queen of the Turf, and Nimmerly gets a Group 1 today.
It's so important for mare owners to think about what's ahead for this stallion, not just this spring, but going on in the next few years.
He's done it for a long time and he's going to continue to do it for a long time because they get better as they get older, and he has huge numbers coming through the system. In the last 5 years, he's covered over 1,100 mares. Last year alone, he was the most popular stallion in Australia, covering over 210 mares and quality mares. And they're going into all the right stables. 40 of them made over $200,000 this year at the yearling sales, and they'll go into all the best stables in the country. His yearling average has never been higher than it was this year, with an average of 180,000, and his median has never been higher than it was this year, and that's off $35,000 noms. So he's a stallion that is not going to fall off the edge of a cliff. His versatility and his consistency is something that is very rare amongst the Australian sire population. All the stallions here are special in their own right. They earned their place on this roster. He's a favourite of any of the boys, any of the guys that work in the stallion barn. He's one of their favourites, and they all comment on that. I think if you stood them down individually, they'd all comment on how special a horse So You Think is.
What a great option he is, and there are still opportunities to book into this elite stallion and claim yourself a piece of the So You Think legacy. Coming up after the break on Bred to Win, how a beloved off-track thoroughbred can make a young rider fall in love with racing.
That would be Tigey. So Only Tiger, I got off the track not knowing anything about him, and then as I've owned him for longer, I've made connections with people that trained him and bred him and owned him on the track, and it's been really good to sort of get into the racing industry that way, and it's made me a lot more interested in the racing industry, and I have now had 2 jobs working with racehorses on the ground and looking after them and the pre-trainers and stuff like that. And yeah, it's really got me into the industry and understanding racing and understanding sort of the circle of racehorses and how diverse they can be, like how good they can be on the track to then retire and be amazing horses off the track as well.
Yeah, and it's really important, isn't it, for the equestrian world to understand some of the background of the racehorses as they come off the track.
Yeah, it's really good because we can make connections between the sort of sport horses and the sport thoroughbreds, I should say, and the racing thoroughbreds. So we have these connections between the equestrian community as a whole, as well as in some separate disciplines. So the racing industry with the eventing, with the show jumping, with dressage, it just creates a bigger supportive network and sort of ability to be able to have owners keep track of thoroughbreds, and people have connections with horses' lives on the track as well.
And of course you're looking towards Thoroughbreds Ago supporting you for Equimillion. It's just going to be such a great event to see so many thoroughbreds competing for really great prize money.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to compete and show off Only Tiger, and I also can't wait to watch other amazing thoroughbreds competing.
That's all for this week on Bred to Win. Don't miss next week's show as we wrap up a huge weekend of racing, including Epsom and Metropolitan Day in Sydney. And outstanding racehorse, the Autumn Sun, looking an absolute picture as his stakes-winning first crop turns 3. That and much more. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
Bred to Win, brought to you by Arrowfield, the home of 4-time champion sire Snitzel.